Azure. Now, I welcome you all. And before you start, hello all. We are very thrilled to announce our Big Data Engineering Bootcamp with GCP and Azure. Now, I welcome you all. And before you start with any of the modules inside this particular course, I would like to take this video and the moment to explain you a lot about the roadmap, what exactly data engineer do, and of the roadmap which you have to follow. Now, the roadmap which I will be discussing will be majorly following the course as well, because that's one of the best way of starting your career and learning about the data engineering. And before I start, I would like to thank you all for considering this course, and I really hope that you have a good experience. If at any time you face any issue, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to help you. So let us now start, everyone. Now we will see that this is a Big Data Engineering Bootcamp with GCP and Azure Cloud. And of course, here we have the data engineering roles, a few of the responsibilities, which you can see that how a data engineer will surely be working on the data sets, on the pre-processing, some classification, database, stats, analytics, and evaluation. Data engineering, of course, is a very, very wide field. And through this course, we have made sure that we have covered everything in complete depth. So now let us see the work of a data engineer briefly, everyone. So let's see the role of a data engineer or a big data engineer in a hindsight, basically. Now on the screen, you will see that how we have the whole data pipeline, which is normally followed in any company. The role of a data engineer actually starts as soon as any data starts going into a company. And of course, if you are running any tech company, that thing is going to happen. You can think about, let's say, Amazon, or even if you're using your WhatsApp, all these apps which you are using, you are generating some data. Now, that data is like a gold mine for any company. And if they are able to hire good big data engineers, they surely can extract gold from that. On that note, you will see that a company has many, many data sources, depending on the field which it is in, how it is managing its data. And the role of a data engineer comes into making sure that he can serve that data to the end consumers, which are your data analysts, data scientists, or let's say some stakeholders, right? For that, of course, he or she will be following a ETL or a ELT pipeline. Okay, so extract, transformation, and then loading the data. He will be making sure that he understands this whole pipeline where from the full raw data which is coming, that is getting served in a very proper manner. Now, I have kept it simple specifically to not confuse you a lot more. In the course as well, you will see that I have explained these things with a lot of analogies and completely from scratch, right? So the idea is that via this course, we want to make sure that you become a big data engineer who has complete command and whole idea about the work and the tools which are used in the data engineering world. Okay, so this is majorly the work which you will be expected to do. You will be having lots of data sources from which you have to extract those data, then you have to work on that data, transform it, then load it into some database internal to your company, and then finally, of course, your consumers are going to work on that data. Now, with the advent of AI and previously the way companies are generating data, right? Big data engineering is surely one field which is going to boom in the coming years, because many companies, they are generating a lots of data, and handling that data is becoming a lot difficult. So let's go and now see the roadmap, everyone, that what exactly you need to get or you need to understand to become and ace your role as a big data engineer. Now we have kept it very practical with all the prerequisites covered. So you will see lots of these logos which I have inside this particular notes, and each and every technology is covered properly in depth. So the very first thing, if I talk about, this is your prerequisites. So we can see the prerequisites here, everyone. Prerequisites. Now coming to prerequisites, SQL and Python. These are majorly the things which you will require. Now, SQL is like a bread and butter for anyone who is working in any data field. Like, surely we will be connecting with the databases, with any data warehouse, and all these things will expect that you know SQL on how to query the data which you want, right? Python, of course, is a lot important as well, because we have covered Spark in a lot of depth here. And for that, we have used PySpark. So a knowledge of Python is very much important. And we have covered Python completely. Like, we have made sure that we are not just teaching you about basic Python functions or commands. No, we have made sure to cover all the basics, all the internal data structures. Then we have made sure that logging, calling different functions or handling the databases, all that things are covered here. And of course, pandas and other stuff which will make you well equipped to work on the data with Python independently, right? So with these prerequisites in proper depth, if you have the idea about this, which we have covered in the course, you are very much open to start your data engineering journey, right? So let's see that, everyone. And now, of course, we are very, very much ready to start our journey into this data engineering world, right? So many things you will see big data, of course, popping out, because that is now what we will be starting. Now, one thing to understand about big data is that it's a very vast field, right? So it's very important that how exactly are you doing it and in the manner which you are doing it. Okay, big data, as the name suggests, is not going to deal with the data which is, let's say, some MBs or maybe GBs in size, right? And to handle that level of data, of course, that is not something which you can do locally on your laptop or your machine, right? For the same, it is always suggested that you practice big data technologies the way they are meant to be handled in real life, and that is totally the reason we have gone forward with Google Cloud here. So you will see Google Cloud on your right hand side, and the reason is very simple. Google Cloud, it gives you $400 of free credits and a 3-month trial period. So our idea or our overall aim with this course is to make sure that anything which you are studying it at a production ready level. So we don't want that you are defining something in your laptop, but in the industry, it is of no use. Based on my extensive work experience of working in companies like Oyo Rooms, Goldman Sachs, then Mindtickle, and also consulting for many startups, I have seen that the major issue with normally learners have in starting with big data is where to practice in that environment. And for that, we have made sure that we have made everything a lot easy for you. You will not have to spend anything, right? You can directly use the Google Cloud where these things will be provided to you. Now, the reason we have one thing more to notice here, everyone, if you are comfortable in this, other cloud also have a similar offering. So if I talk about the major service which we will be using in Google Cloud, it's the Dataproc, where you can create your Hadoop cluster. So I will come to Hadoop, but that is where you can create a production level Hadoop cluster. Similar technologies in other clouds are EMR in AWS, so EMR in AWS, and HD Insight in Azure. But again, there are some challenges, like setting up your EMR is not that straightforward. And Azure normally provides you a trial period of 1 month only, which I think will be a little less, considering the way we have covered the topic and the syllabus. So that's why we have went forward with GCP, because it is easier to set. Then it gives you $400 credits, which is way more than what you will be requiring in the course. And 3 months is a very good period for you to practice and hone your skills. Okay. So instead of going with any local setup or something which is very difficult, which I honestly feel that for big data is not even valid as well, right? The setup which I will be showing you here in this particular course, which you will be following, that is something which you will see in the bestest of the companies as well. Like, that is actually the setup or the interface which I use during my job, solving production level real big data problems. So with that thing clear, now let's move on to the topics, everyone. You will see some really nice icons. So the very first one is Hadoop. Now coming to Hadoop, it's the very first technology which I would say that started the big data revolution, how you can work on a very large data, okay, in a distributed manner. Now each and everything inside Hadoop, so it has different components, which is your HDFS, majorly used for storage, MapReduce, which is used for your processing, right? So if you have the data with you, first you're going to store the data somewhere, and then you're going to work on that data, that is process the data, right? And of course, since in big data world, As I said, it is not just your local machine which is going to do the work. It is combination of multiple machines. So to handle all those machines, we majorly need a resource manager. So we say that our machines are resources, and of course we need a resource manager which can handle all of these things, which is your YAM. Each and everything in this course we have covered from complete scratch up to the level which will be very much helpful for you to clear interviews. Now, few of these technologies with time might not be used that much, but their understanding is very important to clear interviews and also to make sure that any future technologies become very easy for you to understand. Okay, so with that in mind, we have made sure that we are showing you the practicals. You will be getting the first-hand feel of everything which I teach you in theory and how you can use that in practical, be it HDFS, be it MapReduce, or be it YAM. And the same you will be seeing in the company, so you will be a lot comfortable when your big data journey starts in a professional world. Now, coming to the next topic, everyone, this is one of the most important topic in your whole big data learning journey, and that is the reason we have spent most time in making sure that you become proficient in this, which is your Apache Spark. Now, Apache Spark similarly is also a processing framework, just like MapReduce, and you will see that how good overall you will be able to understand Spark coming from the in-depth knowledge of MapReduce, which we did in the previous section. Now, in Spark, there are different components. There are low-level APIs, high-level APIs. Everything we have covered properly with codes which you will be able to run. It's a very good interface to run those codes in a Jupyter notebook type of a thing where we will be teaching you Python as well. And everything is in Python, or rather, I should say PySpark. Along with that, we have made sure to cover advanced topics like Spark SQL, then caching in Spark. So, a little bit, yeah, caching in Spark. 1 minute. So, caching in Spark. Then let's say your Spark joins and optimization, all these things we have discussed with proper practical to showcase you that how exactly it happens behind the scene. Now, this level of understanding is very much required if you're aiming for big tech companies because they want their employees to be very proficient in these frameworks. Their work involves getting deep dive into the understanding, into the configurations, into the working of these frameworks, and that is something which we have tried to cover via the proper architecture by showing you everything inside the cluster which you will be creating on Google. Right? So all these things, as I said, will give you a proper industry level exposure. Along with that, we have done multiple projects in Spark, everyone. So we have done 3 projects in Spark where you will be working on the data, you will be extracting the data, then working on same, making sure that you are able to extract insights, then we have multiple data sets, so you will be joining those data as well. And finally, all the data which you are ready to serve, you will be saving at some place. So future team can use it from there, right? So Spark, I will expect that you will be doing a lot of depth in the environment which I will show you. And in this course, we have made sure that this is at a level which can help you to clear any interview. Now, moving forward, once we have done enough on our Spark and you have spent a lot of time, which is going to help you a lot in technologies like Databricks as well. So Databricks is a very up and coming technology. It was created by creators of Spark only, where they have optimized it further. So to understand those optimization as well, to work on that, this is also where Spark comes into picture, right? Now, moving forward, we will be covering another important component of your big data world and the Hadoop overall, which is going to be Hive. Now, Hive you can just think of as a data warehousing tool, right? Which makes your work a lot easy to work on the data, right? So as the big data field evolved, few technologies were not that easy to work with, specifically the MapReduce. And for that only, people started Facebook created Hive, where you could write a SQL-like query, which is known as HQL, Hive query language, to work on your data. The same again we have covered in depth with architecture, with the proper examples, and exactly how things happen, showing you everything along the way. We have made sure that we are showing you the things in such a way that the learning will be helpful when you do any project in a company as well. So now with the major components completed, everyone, we will be focusing on a very good technology which is used for the streaming data and which is your Kafka. So pretty sure that you must have heard of Kafka. It's a technology which is used in streaming, in the data which is streaming, so real-time data. And after Kafka, we will also be covering about Spark streaming. So once you have got your data coming to real time, you further have to process that data as well. And that is where the role of Spark streaming come into picture. Now again, coming to Kafka, we have made sure that we have used the proper on-cloud free Confluent Kafka. So again, no setting up on the local. You will not be using it on the local for sure. So we have made sure that we crack that how you can use it on the cloud directly via your laptop. Okay. In that, again, free trial is there. We have found out that how you can get that free trial before without any entering of the credit card. And in case that even that is, you will not have to pay anything. Okay. So all the things have been properly covered, and we have made sure that no student waste their time in this local setup of things. Okay, or just thinking about if my laptop is fast enough, good enough for that. No. If you're not going to use Big Data on cloud, doesn't make sense to learn it on. If you're not going to use Big Data on your laptop, doesn't of course make sense to run these complex architectures and technologies on your laptop. So Kafka also we have made sure to cover properly. The understanding will surely help you in other technologies as well, like in the normal software engineering world and problem as well. We use Kafka a lot. Okay. So moving forward, everyone, we will then be covering about Docker, another very important framework which makes you move away, which helps you to set up things on the server easily. So we have made sure that we include this because in big data, in the companies, you will be using Docker to set up your whole environment, and it is very much helpful and a tool which you should know about in today's world. Then once we are done with Docker, then we are going to start with Airflow and AstroDB. So very, very important topic again. Airflow is used a lot in creating those data orchestration pipeline. This is something which is going to help you, and you will be very astonished at how good it makes your work in the data engineering field. And further, we have made sure that we cover all the technologies in such a way that even if you use them in any other field or line of project, you will be able to get hold of them. Similarly, we have a project here as well. So most of the things we have made sure that we are covering and ending with the project. So your learnings get revised. Okay. Then we will have a project in Airflow as well with AstroDB, which you surely can will give you a good insight at how exactly that is used. So, sorry, I think I said that this is an AstroDB. No, it is Astro Cloud. Okay, so with Apache Airflow, we will be doing a project with Astro Cloud, where again you will see that how we can join different components, how exactly you can create those production level data pipelines where data will be moving, orchestrating everything, and of course it's going to give you a lot of exposure. So slowly, if you will see the way we have defined the course, we are starting from complete scratch. Everything is on the cloud and production grade, I would say technologies, and we are moving towards the thing which are used in the industry. Now, once you're done with this, everyone, we are going to move to Databricks, another very important technology. Recently, they had a funding round of $10 billion, so you can just imagine how good it is, how much it is getting used, and how it is growing. So with that, we have covered Databricks. In this, the understanding of Spark, which you had earlier, that is going to help you loads here. Because in Databricks, as I said before, it is created by the creators of Spark only, and along with a well-optimized version of Spark, they are giving you other things as well. They are giving you some more technologies or some more tools on which you can work on. And along with that, this also we have directly worked on a Databricks community edition where you don't have to again purchase anything. You will be more than sufficient, like with just an email ID. The whole sign up process, everything has been covered very much in depth for all the technologies, all the UIs, all the overall setup, all these things we have done to make sure that a first time learner as well, even if he's in college or if he's doing job in some other domain, he will be very, very much comfortable. Considering that how students normally face a lot of issue and challenge in entering into big data field, this whole course, we are pretty sure will make it a little easy for them because we have covered everything in great depth for any technology which we have made sure to cover properly here. Okay, so all the technologies you will find that everything we start with the introduction, then we see then we show you the whole UI, then we tell you about the architecture. So all these things have been covered, which is surely going to help you in quickly starting up with them and in the interview as well. Now moving forward after this everyone, then we are going to start and create an account on Azure Cloud as well. So Azure is something which is getting used a lot in the big data world, right? So now that you have an idea of how to work in a real time Hadoop or big data environment, different technologies like Airflow, Kafka, Databricks, then I think we are a lot ready to create an account and now start with Azure. Because all that basics is required. If you just create an account without any understanding, you will surely face a lot of issues. So the whole idea that how you have to get the data in, then how you have to work with the data via SQL, via Python, all these frameworks, this is going to make you a lot ready and a super base for you to get started with the Azure Cloud. So Azure Cloud. Here as well, Microsoft present with a 1 month, and if I remember right, $200 of credit, which are more than enough for our learning. You just have to make sure that you follow all the instructions. We specifically had tried that no student or no learner has to spend anything. We are able to leverage these free trials, the free credits to learn each and everything, be it in the data sets which we are using, be it in the technologies which we are using. Because as I said, big data is something which is very technology hungry. Like it requires you all these processors, all these heavy technologies. So to get the first hand feel, we are using them, and specifically we are using the free trial periods and credits so that any student, any learner, be it any particular phase in this learning journey, he will be able to get started and gain expertise in that. So in Azure again, everyone, we will start by creating the account, then we will show you around the UI, different technologies which are used in your Azure Cloud, then how to set up that Azure Cloud, what are different things, what are the whole architecture with respect to the Azure Cloud as well, creating those resources, those resource groups, each and everything we have covered. So to make sure that you have a very good learning journey. Now moving forward, okay, so in Azure we will be covering the tools which are used, and since you have an idea based on all the previous learning as well, we will do a project. Okay, so we will do an end-to-end company level, industry level project. The overall architecture of which you can see in front of your screen, right? So this has all the technologies as well, which we will touch upon in the theory part. And then in the project, it will get a lot clearer how exactly you can use them. So just to name a few, we will be using the Azure Data Factory, we will be using ADLS Gen 2, Databricks on Azure. So the database which we learned before, that can be used a lot in Azure as well. Like they have different offerings in all the clouds. So we will be using this Databricks. Then we will see that how we can integrate DBs like MongoDB into that thing. And again, as I said, everything has been explained in complete depth from scratch, so you don't have to worry about anything. Then using Azure Synapse, all these things we will be using in our project so that you get an idea that how these end-to-end project in a company happens. And by the end of it, with a couple of projects which we have planned for you, you will be having complete in-depth idea that what exactly is the work of data engineering, and you will be more than ready to give interviews and also to step on and make your career in the data engineering world. So this was all everyone with respect to what we have covered, and this is I think the roadmap. So we have talked about what is the overall role of a data engineer, and all these things as well we have covered in the course. There are many misconceptions, there are many terms. We have tried to clear them first only so that while learning, you as a learner don't get confused in those terms. So ETL, ELT, data engineer, data analyst, big data engineer, what is the difference? All that thing we have covered in depth. Now, I really hope that you have a real great journey while you start this course. And with all this level of understanding, I am for sure be very much. I will say that I'm very much sure that you will have a good learning journey. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask the same in the Q&A. We are there to help you. And I wish you all the best in your learning journey into the data engineering world. So thanks a lot, everyone. Really hope, and thanks a lot again for choosing this course. We wish you all the best. Thank you. Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Data Engineering Bootcamp with GCP and Azure Cloud. I'm Mayank Agarwal, and along with Krishnaik, I will be your instructor for this course. Now, in this video, I would like to make sure that I can cover each and everything about the environment which you're going to use while learning everything in this course. Along with that, I also want to make sure that I can share that how exactly can you make the best use of this course in your learning and make sure that you have an awesome learning experience. So now let's get started, and now let's move on to the Udemy dashboard where you will be accessing the course. So let us go there. Meanwhile, let me make myself a little smaller. And I think that should be fine. Cool, everyone. So this is the dashboard which you will see once you log in and access our course. And of course, thanks a lot for choosing us and having the confidence. We really want to make sure that you have a best learning experience. So if you have any doubts, I want to just assure you that I will be there to help you in your learning journey. Now, coming to the course, the dashboard, this is where you will be accessing your course. Here, the course is divided into logical sections. So if you see the course content, in case you're not able to see it, you can just, like many times students will not be able to see it. You have to provide this button. Okay, you just click this button. Here, your progress is getting monitored. I think there are some other options. And yeah, I think this is the course name. So you can click and go to the course homepage. But majorly, you will be spending your time here. And this is where you will be learning each and everything. Now, as I said, the course is divided into logical sections, which is starting from the introduction to Python, then SQL, and then we are going to start with big data and other topics which are Hadoop, HDFS, and others, right? Till SQL, this is all the prerequisites. Now, if you're aware about Python, maybe you can skip it. But I would suggest that see the advanced topics, just like let's say your Python filter functions, file operation, and OOPS. Even if you're aware, just see them in a 2x speed. So this is the player where you will be seeing your videos. Here, Udemy provides you a playback rate option via which you can increase the rate of the videos. Okay. Now, because I'm recording, the video will not play. Here, you can have the volume. Now, it may happen that different volume might be there in some lectures because of the environment. But overall, we have made sure that we are using the best quality equipment to provide you with the best experience, be it with respect to the recordings, be it with respect to the audio and everything. Okay. So in some lecture, you just might need to adjust the volume, but overall, you will not face any issue regarding that. Along with that, this is your transcript. So Udemy is going to make sure that it is able to provide you with transcript as well. All the lectures are recorded in English, and we will make transcript available in any language if you want. Just that it is something which Udemy does, so it can take a little bit of time. Along with that, you will see that captions is there. So English auto caption are there, and then we can have the settings as well. Pretty straightforward, a very normal kind of a video interface. Then of course we have the settings where you can select the quality in which you want to see the video, if autoplay is on or off, and you can have the keyboard shortcut as well. Now the lectures are not downloaded, okay, so please don't try to do that or maybe record it or something. I think there's a DRM protection here as well in Udemy. But overall, we have made sure that the course is very affordable for each and everyone. We are providing it so much level of content, so if you will see, it's still around 72 hours, and that is at a very, very affordable price. If you like the course, we regularly make sure that we are releasing coupons, so do follow us and you will get those coupons and share that instead with your friends. Okay. Now you can of course do a full screen or let's say an expanded view, and we can go back. So this is all about the player, everyone. You are going to have an awesome experience here because the way this is structured, right, by small lectures, by logical sections, surely you will be able to easily follow. And the best thing is that you will not get any detour because no other recommendation like YouTube is coming here. Okay. Now, coming to the other benefits which Udemy gives, there is an AI assistant which is in beta. So you can just ask some basic questions here. Though most of the questions we have made sure that we are answering already. And of course, while you are learning things, you will have doubts. There might be something which are not understandable by you. There are two things which I will suggest you for that. The very first thing is that please see the recordings again. Okay, we have made sure that we are answering each and everything in the overall lectures when we are taking it. Else, it may happen that the topic is covered later in the section. So please make sure that you first do that. Second is to make sure that if you still have doubt, you try to just search it once yourself. Okay, just maybe ask this AI. You can even ask any LLM like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or say Claude, any you prefer. But of course, there are still many doubts which are not clear. And for that, if you will scroll down a little bit, you will see the second section. So this is the whole first section, everyone, where you're seeing a lot of information. Then we can see the second section, which is Q&A. Here you can ask your questions. Okay, and I will make sure that I answer the same. So for example, let's say if I just show you this doubt, you will see that how the student has asked it out, and I was able to clear that out. So I will be making sure that I clear your doubts. We will be very prompt in clearing your doubts, but still I will suggest to just wait maybe a couple of days, and we will clear your doubts and you make sure that you have a good learning experience. Moving forward, first you have notes here, a very awesome feature which are provided by Udemy. So let's say if you are seeing this particular video, and at certain point you want to make some note. So let's say you want to just write important. You can just do this. So please use this feature as well. This is very important, right? As I've written it. So along with that, there is announcement. Now coming to announcement, it will have each and everything which we announce from our side. So if there are any updates to the course, if there are anything which we have changed, any other thing which we want all of you to do, those things you will see here, and I think in your mail as well. So do keep an eye for that as well. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that till now each and every one of you are able to follow what I have covered. Along with that, I think I've already repeated, but please make sure that if you're aware about any topic, like for example Hadoop, HDFS, these are the topics which students will feel that they know a lot. But I will still suggest to see the video in a 2x speed, in a 2x playback rate, so that you are able to understand those topics in depth. Now we have covered many topics in a lot of depth to make sure you have a very, very good learning experience. Okay, you will see that we have covered MapReduce, Yarn, all these things with proper practical. So the way which we have covered this course is that we have taught you theory first, and then we have used a cloud environment, which is Google Dataproc in this particular course, to give you a production level cluster where you can study. Now, of course, while we are teaching, we are using some handwritten notes, we are using some codes, and surely it will be very helpful to you if you can get access to all of these, right? So to make your overall journey easier there as well, we have attached the resources all together. For example, if you will start with Python, you will see that there is a resource there which you can click and download, and you can just unzip this file, and you will have all the resources of Python. Similarly, for the big data part, if you will go to the very first section where big data starts, introduction to big data, you will see the resources there, and it will be big data engineering bootcamp.zip. Unzip it, and you will have each and every of the notes. You will have, so we will be using handwritten notes, not any PPT, because they are easy to follow. Okay, and one thing I would like to suggest you to have a good overall experience, please make sure that you are making your own notes by hand. Okay, that in that way you will be able to remember things properly, and for sure in the interview or in your work, you will be able to have a very good recall as well. So anything which we are teaching, though we are making handwritten notes and everything will be in front of you, I will still suggest to make the notes yourself. Now you can download this. This will have each and everything which we have used, be it code, be it any configuration file, be it any code file. Okay, so all of that we will be updating, and it's at a single place so that you don't face any issue. Now once this is done, there is one very awesome feature as well of Udemy which I would like to show you. So 1 minute, yeah, which is the learning tool. In this, what you can do is you can set up a reminder. So let's say you want to study at Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 hours. Udemy gives this awesome feature through which you can set up this reminder, and it will send you a notification to remind you that you have to do this course. Now, what I will suggest is that if you are looking forward to make a career shift, big data engineering is a very, very good field. Companies will require data engineers who are very good, and that is the reason we have covered things in depth. These are all the things where the interview questions are getting asked. No topic is there which we have just added to unnecessarily. These are the topics where you will get questions moving forward in the interview as well. If you're doing this course, let's say 2 hours every day, then I believe that from 3 to 5 months, you will be able to complete this course properly, provided how well we have structured it. Just make sure that you are making sure to follow each and every instruction, and you will further also have to not pay anything extra on any cloud or any other platform which we have used. We have made sure to move away from local setup, because in big data engineering world, you will never be using local setup as we are handling a lot of data, right? So for that, we have used cloud, we have used free trials, and we have made sure that I personally also have used those free trials only to show you that that is the only thing which is required, and you will not be paying anything extra. Just please make sure to follow all the instructions when we are teaching you. Along with that, one very, very important, or rather the most important thing, there's a review section. Now here, I will highly suggest you, and will be humble request, if you like the course, if you like the effort which we are putting in, do give us a 5-star review. And if you have anything, you can reach out to us directly. The reason is that we work a lot hard to make sure we can provide you this awesome content at such a low price. So we provide you at the lowest price which Udemy can give you, and you get this whole overall environment to study. And this is a lot motivating when our students love us and they provide us with a good review. That motivates us to make more courses, and our aim is to make sure that we can provide you the best value for your money. That is why all the courses we create, they are never less than 60-70 hours. They are full of information which can help you make a career shift. As I believe that that is very important, so that any barrier to entry into any new field, that is easily doable. So yeah, that was I think all everyone which I wanted to cover. Please make sure that you complete this course the way we have intended, moving in sequence. If you have any issues, we will be there to solve your doubts. Please hit us up in the Q&A. You can also reach out to us directly via the Udemy DM, and we will be there. Like that is the major thing which I want to tell you, that this course, or rather all the courses of ours, we make sure that we are always available to help you out. And in return, I really hope that you have a good experience and you are able to move up in your career trajectory. So with that, everyone, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for choosing this course as well. Hope you have a good experience, and I will be more than happy to see all your transition stories. And do share it with your friends. We regularly have the coupons, so you can just share that so they don't buy it for any extra money. They buy it at the best price possible. You can follow us on our socials, there you will get the coupons. And along with that, yes, if you like the course, do give it a good review, and we will constantly be very happy and creating more such courses for you. So thanks a lot, everyone. Let's meet in the next video. Hello, welcome to the Python fundamental module of this course. Now, this is the very first prerequisite which you are required to do as part of your big data learning journey. And the same is very, very important. The reason is that in the course, we have used PySpark, which is Python plus Spark, to interact with our big data and do processing on top of it. So if your concepts about Python are very much clear, you will be a lot comfortable when you write code in Spark going forward. Along with that, we have used and interacted with other technologies like Kafka, Airflow, and there as well we have used Python code only so as to maintain the uniformity throughout your learning journey and in the course. Now, many students, they might be aware about the basic topics such as variables or list, tuple, etc. Still, I will suggest you all to see the videos. And the reason is that we have taught you in a certain way in a bit-sized content and build upon those basic concepts to finally cover advanced topics such as OOPS, then your file handling, logging, all these things also we have incorporated into this course. So please make sure that you see each and every video and with a special focus on advanced topics like map, lambda function, logging and file handling, and of course the NumPy and Pandas library as well, because the understanding there will be a lot helpful when we do the similar kind of analysis using PySpark on our big data problems. So thanks for
Hello guys, so in this video, we are going to go ahead with the installation of Anaconda and VS Code, which will be our IDE, right? If you see just an example of VS Code, this is how my VS Code looks like, a good, amazing, complete IDE to probably execute your code. You can execute your code both in IPYNB format, you can execute your code in .py format and all. So this is entirely my VS Code IDE, right? So first of all, before we go ahead and install about VS Code, first of all, we need to go ahead and install about Anaconda. Anaconda is one amazing open source tool, it provides a complete open source ecosystem for sourcing, building and deploying data science and AI initiative, okay? So if you really want to work with multiple environments, multiple packages, so this will be the best thing that you'll probably have in order to get started with Python programming language, right? And it is necessary that everybody uses this, because here the management of packages, the management of environments will happen very much easily. Now, the importance of packages and management is very important because you may want to work with different versions of Python. So for that, you really need to create different environments. Okay. So let's get started and start with installation of Anaconda. So first of all, we will go ahead and click on free download. So here you can see that once I click on free download, I can, if you go down, okay, so here you'll be able to see what all things it basically supports, right? Now, you can provide your email address. Let's say I'm going to provide my email address over here, krishna06@gmail.com. I'll click on submit. Okay. Once I click on submit, here you'll be able to see that I'm able to get the download now button over here, link, right? So I have Windows, I have Mac, I have Linux. Okay. Now, based on your operating system, it will automatically give whether you need to install 64-bit graphic installer or whether you need to probably go ahead with Mac, Linux, right? Right now, I'm having Windows, so I'll just go ahead and click on this particular link. So once I click on this link, here you can see that this entire link is basically getting downloaded. Once it gets downloaded, we'll start the installation. Okay. So I hope everybody remembers this specific step. So first of all, we need to go ahead and go to anaconda.com, click on free downloads, provide your email ID, and just go ahead and go to this download now option. And whichever is your operating system, just go ahead and click on download now. Okay. So once this is done, the next step that you can specifically do over here is that you can see that my Anaconda exe file is ready. I will double click on this and I will start my installation. So here you can see I've already started my installation. Okay. Setup will guide you through the installation of Anaconda 3, so and so version, everything. Then we'll go ahead and click on next. Okay. It'll ask you for this license agreement. So you just need to go ahead and click on I agree. Now, for if your system is basically used by multiple users, you can click on all users or you can just click on just me, right? Since I'm using this particular workstation or laptop or anything, I'll just click on just me. So I will go ahead and click on next. Now, once I go ahead and click on next, it'll ask me to select a destination folder. Now, by default, this destination folder is basically created in my C drive of Anaconda 3, right? Since Anaconda is already installed in my machine, so here you are able to see this Anaconda 3 folder. But let's say that you want to go ahead with the installation in some other folder. By default, over here, it'll take the C drive, right? If you want to go ahead with the other folder also, you can go ahead and select it. Let's say that I want to probably go ahead with my desktop folder. Here, I will create my another folder. Or let's say if I go to my E drive, okay? E drive, here I have one Anaconda folder, okay? So please make sure that you write this Anaconda 3 because it needs to be matching with this, right? In my C drive, by default, it is basically creating this Anaconda 3 folder, okay? But I want it to have it in E drive, let's say. I'm just showing you multiple options. You can also go ahead with C drive also. It is up to you. So let's say I go ahead and select this. I will write OK, and then I will go ahead and click on next. So here you can see that it will give you multiple options. Create start menu shortcuts, add Anaconda 3 to my path environment variable, not recommended, clear the package cache upon completion. So what I will do, I will also make sure that I will check this box. Okay. It is saying not recommended, but I will tell you what is the importance of this. Because once we go to our environment variable, okay, if I just go ahead and see my environment variable, one very important thing in this particular path, right, is to have this Anaconda path, right? So this paths will be automatically added in the environment variable. And because of this particular path, if it is added in the environment variable, it will be very helpful when we execute any conda command, right? With the help of conda command, we'll be creating a new environment, we'll be doing multiple things and all, right? So this will be very important, right? And this path is only added when you specifically just check this particular box, that is add Anaconda 3 to my path environment variable. This is important. Please do make sure that you check this, okay? And then what you can actually do, you can click on install. Once you click on install, this is going to take some amount of time with respect to the installation. Once the installation will happen, wherever you have selected the folder location, right, there the installation will happen automatically. And also make sure that whenever you see your environment variable, right, that environment variable should have this path inserted over here, right? So Anaconda 3 library, this bin folder, user bin folder, library bin folder, and scripts. This 4 path needed to be added, and it will get automatically added if you have done the checkbox. Okay. So this is very important because without this, trust me, your command is going to fail when you write any conda command. Okay. Like you want to do probably pip install, you want to probably create an environment using conda, that is not going to work. Okay. So once this installation is done, I hope you will be able to do it. Okay. Just please go ahead and do it. Once the installation is done, your Anaconda will be ready. Now once you complete the installation, I will just go ahead and click on Anaconda, right? So once I write Anaconda, here you'll be able to see that I'll be getting this Anaconda Navigator. So I'll click on Anaconda Navigator over here. Once I click on Anaconda Navigator, here is what it will get displayed. So this will be initializing, and I will be able to see one amazing, this entire Anaconda Navigator will be opened as a window app. Okay. So this is going to just take some time because once you probably do the installation, you go ahead and just open it. So here you can see I have opened this. Okay. So this is my Anaconda Navigator. So in this Anaconda Navigator, you have Jupyter Notebook. You can directly click on launch. Automatically, the Jupyter Notebook will be opened. You have other things like PyCharm. You have Datalore. You have Watson Studio. You have PyCharm Professional. All these are different IDs, right? And one of the main things is that I've already installed this Anaconda. You'll be able to see that so many different environments I've created. See, V and V in different folder location. I will show you how to create an environment and all as we go ahead. Okay. Now, after going ahead with this Anaconda Navigator, the next thing that you need to install is your VS Code. So in order to install the VS Code, I will click on VS Code download. Okay. Then here my VS Code link will be over here. Just click on VS Code download, and this VS Code is also available for everyone. It is a complete open source. So based on your operating system, whether it is Windows, OS, or Mac, you just go ahead and install this. So I'll click this, and the installation and the downloading will basically start. Once the downloading is started, just double click this, do next, and all the installation will be done. Okay. Now, how to start a VS Code after the installation is done? Okay, so right now I have the exe file. I've already done the installation. I will go to my folder. Let's say that I want to start my Python programming language from this particular folder. So I've created a data analyst bootcamp folder. Inside that I've created a Python folder. Okay, so from this particular folder, what I will do, I will go ahead and write my command prompt. Okay, so I will open my command prompt. Inside this command prompt, and remember, you have to start this process after you install this. But still, this is getting downloaded. Once it gets downloaded, just double click this, click on next, 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 and all the installation will basically happen. Okay, now I will go ahead and open my command prompt. I will go to this specific folder location, right? So I will say CDE, this particular drive, right? So what did I do over here? I wrote CD, and this path that I've actually taken, I'm just pasting it over here. Okay, like this, I'm pasting it over here. So here it is, and I will go to my E drive. So here you can see, once I go to my E drive, automatically I'm going in that specific path. Not only this, if you want to go ahead and start from here, also you can go ahead and do it. You know, so here if I do right click, here you can see I'm getting open with code. Right? If you're installing it for the first time, probably you may not get it. Right? So here you can see my VS Code is basically exe file is installed. So if I double click this, here you can see setup has detected that Visual Studio Code is currently running. Please close all the instances, then click OK to continue. So already my installation is done, so I'm not going to do that. But for you, it will just keep on coming next, 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 and you can start. Now, once I go to my command prompt in this particular folder location, okay, I will just go ahead and write code dot. Once I write code dot, please make sure you note this particular command. Once I write code dot, automatically my VS Code will get opened in that specific folder location. So here you can probably see Python, right? So once you have this particular Python, you can go ahead and start your coding, right? You can probably create a file, let's say test.ipynb file, and you can start your coding, okay? But this more about coding we will see in the next video. But I hope I've shown you how you can open the VS Code, how you can do the installation of the VS Code and all, right? So two things I've actually focused on this particular video. One was downloading your Anaconda. One was setting up your path environment. Make sure to do that checkbox, okay? And the second thing that you really need to download is your VS Code, that is Visual Studio Code. Double click it, install it. Then in any folder location, let's say in this Python folder location, what I've done through my command prompt, I've gone to this particular location and I've just written code space dot. Once I write code space dot, my VS Code will get opened. So I hope you are able to understand this particular video. In this entire course, I'm going to use VS Code as my ID. But if you still face any problem because of some or the other thing, you can even start with Google Colab, right? If you still face any kind of issues, please make sure that you write down in the discussion forum, right? So yes, this was it from my side. I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Hello guys, so welcome to the Python series. Now we are going to start our first session with respect to Python. Now what we're going to do in this video is that, and the entire code that I'm actually going to specifically write, I'm going to use the VS Code ID. VS Code ID, I find it really amazing because here you'll be able to execute your Jupyter Notebook files, your .py files. Along with that, you'll also be able to create all the environments very much easily. So it is feasible that I specifically use VS Code. Along with that, you have a lot of features like extensions, code assistance, and many more things. So the first step, as we are still starting, what I'm actually going to do is that over here we're going to create our new environment. As I said, in this Python series, I'm going to use the newest Python version, that is Python 3.12, and I am going to teach in such a way that we see all the new features that have actually come from 3.10 to 3.12. So all the new features that are specifically there, we will be also discussing about them in this Python series. The first step, as you know, that I'm going to create an environment. And again, why you specifically require an environment? Because an environment is necessary whenever you start a new project. Because in our Python project or in our data science project, we make sure that we use multiple packages, multiple libraries and all, right? And every couple of months, these packages or these libraries have new features, and most of them are open source packages or libraries, right? So they definitely have a lot of features that gets included every couple of months. So it is always necessary that you always maintain or try to create your entire project in a separate with a separate environment, so that there should be not any conflict as you probably go ahead whenever a new feature is probably coming up, with respect to the packages. You can actually create a new project and create a new environment out there. But here, the first step what I'm actually going to do is that let's go ahead and create our environment. And for this also, I will be using conda command. So first of all, I'll not go ahead and write in PowerShell. Instead, I'll go and click on command prompt. So quickly, let's go ahead and write it down. So here I'm going to write conda create -p vnv Python double equal to, let's say I'm going to go ahead with Python 3.12. Okay, and understand one thing is that over here we are using this conda create command. Venv is specifically your environment name, and which Python version we are specifically using it is 3.12. Again, based on different projects, it is not necessary that you always need to use 3.12. It depends on the kind of packages that are available. Let's say open source packages when you're creating deep learning projects or any machine learning projects as such, right? So but here, since we are learning this Python series completely from basics, I'm going to go ahead and use this environment. So once I probably click this, so here you'll be able to see the installation will start taking place. And when you're creating a virtual environment, some basic libraries or packages will be automatically downloaded by this conda command. So now here you can see over here what are the basic commands, basic new packages that are basically getting installed. So here are all the packages. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on press Y, and once I probably do this, all the installation of the libraries will happen, right? So it is going to take some amount of time. Again, it depends on your internet speed. But let me just go ahead and show you. So here you can see a venv environment is basically created, and these are all the default packages that you'll be able to find out inside this, right? There will be a DLL folder, there will be an include folder, right? So what is the basic environment that is required for any Python project? So that will be covered up inside this particular folder. Okay. Now once you go ahead and click this, now the next thing is that let's say you want to activate this environment, right? So in order to activate this environment, I will go ahead and write conda activate, and we go ahead and use this venv folder itself, right? The same venv folder, and here we are just going to give the location of this, right? So once we press this, you'll be able to see that I have activated the venv environment. Okay. And now you can probably run any kind of .py files directly from here by using Python specifically. Let's say I probably go ahead and create my app.py, and let's say that I am just going to write over here print 1 + 1, right? So this is the basic command, and I'm printing this particular numerical operation 1 + 1. Now if I really want to run this app.py, I have to make sure that I'm in the same folder location. I've activated my venv environment, and now within this particular environment, we will go ahead and just execute this file. In order to execute it, you just need to write python app.py. So once you do this, here you'll be able to see that I'm able to get the response. Okay. Now let me show you one more thing, because see, as we go ahead with more lectures, right, I'm actually going to create a folder. Let's say this is first folder is Python basics. Okay, Python basics. So inside this folder itself, I will go ahead and create my Jupyter Notebook file or .py file, anything that I require. Let's say I go ahead and create my Jupyter Notebook file. By default, let's say this is my test.ipynb. Okay. Now this Jupyter Notebook file will be a similar Jupyter Notebook file that we actually use in Anaconda, right? The Jupyter Notebook. But in Python also, sorry, in VS Code, you will be able to see that yes, internally you'll be able to execute this text, this Jupyter Notebook file also. Now, initially, if I go ahead and let's say over here, an option is probably coming up saying that, hey, detecting kernels. So if I want to select the same environment, right, VNV, I can go ahead and click on detect kernels. So here you'll get an option of selecting the Python environment. Let's say this is the environment that I've created, right? VNV Python 3.12.0, and these are all the other environments that I've actually created in my local system, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and select 3.12.0. Okay. Now let's go ahead and execute any code, right? So this is my code cell. Okay, I can create any number of code cell that I really want, right? Now code cell is nothing but here I will be writing all my Python code in order to execute it. Along with that, you also have something like Markdown. So let's say that I have this Markdown cell. I can basically write comments saying like this, like let's say Python example, and if I execute it, in order to execute this cell, I have to press Shift Enter. Okay. So if I probably press Shift Enter, automatically this will get executed. Now the reason we have used some Markdown because I needed to write some information over here, so like title and all, so I'm writing it over here, right? So if you press Shift Enter, then automatically the cell will get executed. Along with this, you also have an option of run all. You know, if you want to run all the cells over here, if you go ahead and if you just go ahead and press right click, you'll be having so many different options. Okay, but we're just going to use Shift Enter, so that we'll be able to execute it. Okay, now this is fine. Let's run our first code in Jupyter Notebook. So if I'm going to write 1+1, so here you can see I'm getting an error. Running cell with VNV Python 3.120 requires the IPyKernel package. Okay, so this is one of the requirements that we really need to do. We need to install IPyKernel. Okay, so here what I'm going to write is that pip install. If I want to install any packages, I have to just go ahead and write pip install IPyKernel. Okay, so once I probably do this, you'll be able to see that if I press enter, you'll be seeing that hey, my IPyKernel is basically getting installed. Now what is this IPyKernel package? IPyKernel package is nothing but it provides a kernel to this specific Jupyter Notebook, which will be responsible in executing the Python code. Right? It is pretty much necessary and compulsory. In Anaconda, the default Jupyter Notebook has IPyKernel already integrated to it. Okay, so this is the first thing that you really need to do whenever you want to run the Jupyter Notebook. You just go ahead and write pip install IPyKernel. One more thing that you can actually do is that here, what I will do, I'll go ahead and create one requirement.txt because this requirement.txt, you know, later on whatever packages I want. Let's say the first package I want is IPyKernel. I'll keep a note of this over here, and any number of packages I will be requiring. Let's say in the future classes you'll be seeing pandas, numpy, different packages. So we will try to install it from here itself. We'll write over here and we'll run this requirement.txt, which will be responsible in installing all the packages. Now you can see that the IPyKernel has got successfully executed. Now let me just go ahead and run the same code. So here you'll be able to see if I run the same code. Now it is just going to execute. It is saying that connecting to kernel, and here I'm having my output, right? So now I can probably go ahead and write any type of code that I want. Let's say I want to go ahead and write print hello world, okay, something like this. So here you'll be able to see that it is executing, right? For .py file, I don't want any type of kernel because in the terminal, automatically that particular terminal has this environment set up, right? So in order to execute it, I have to go ahead and write Python app.py, right? Or whatever is the file name. In this case, if I want to execute any cell, I have to just press that particular cell and press Shift Enter, okay? So in this video, we have discussed about how you can go ahead and create an environment because going forward, any session that is probably going to come up in this course, I'm going to probably create a folder wise like this. For first class, I will probably create Python basics, create my Jupyter Notebook file or .py file, execute all the code in front of you, write all the code in front of you, and continue, right? So for right now, I will just go ahead and delete this folder because I don't require it. Because at the end of the day, I will do one thing. Okay, just a second, I'll just close this. Okay. Yeah, now let me just go ahead and delete it because in the next session, I will go ahead and create everything from scratch. Requirement.txt, I will keep it so that I keep on updating my packages. So yes, this was it from my side. I hope you like this video. And in the next video, we will start our Python basics. So yes, this was it. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello guys, so we are going to continue the discussion with respect to Python programming language. Now in this first video, we are going to probably discuss about syntax and semantics in Python. So I've given the video outline, what all things we are going to cover over here. So first of all, we're going to understand about single line comments and multi-line comments. Along with this, we are going to understand what is the definition of syntax and semantics. And then we'll see basic syntax rules in Python. Then we'll also be understanding about semantics in Python and what are the common syntax errors and how to avoid them. And we'll also be seeing a lot of practical code examples. Okay. Now, first of all, let's go ahead with the definition over here. So here you can clearly see that syntax refers to the set of rules that defines the combination of symbols that are considered to be correctly structured program in a language. In a simpler terms, syntax is about the correct arrangement of words and symbol in a code. Now, understand when we are doing coding, right? We usually face some kind of syntax error. Why it usually happens? It may be because, let's say, I'm not assigned a variable and I've directly used it, you know, so I may get a syntax error. So that is the reason it is written over here that it is the correct arrangement of words and symbols in a code, right? Now, this is a basic definition of syntax. I would also like to give you some more definition for semantics, okay? So let's go ahead and write it over here. So here you can see semantics refers to the meaning or interpretation of the symbol, character and commands in a language. It is about what the code is supposed to do when it runs. Syntax is how we are able to arrange the words so that we write a code. And semantics refers to the interpretation. So whatever code we are specifically writing, what it is supposed to do, right? When it runs, like when we are trying to run it, what it is supposed to do? It is more about the task that we are trying to do, right? And that is what semantics basically refer to. Now, this is some kind of basic definition. I know you usually don't go through this, but I really wanted to explain you in a way that anyone can actually be able to understand this who is also starting Python programming language, okay? Now, let's go ahead and see some of the basic syntax rules in Python, okay? Now, first and foremost important thing is about case sensitivity. Okay, so I'm going to write a comment over here, case sensitivity. Now, before I go ahead, you'll be able to see that whenever I use double hash in a code, whenever we create a coding cell, right? And if I want to write some kind of comments, a single line comment, I can basically use this double hash. So this double hash basically means that whenever I want to use a single line comment, I can just use this and I can write any kind of comments that I want. Like I've written over here. Let's say that in this code cell, I'm going to discuss about basic syntax rules in Python. So I've just written double hash over here. Okay. Let's say, and there's also an option to use multi-line comments. Okay. Now multi-line comments, let's say that I've created one test.py file over here. Now for multi-line comment, let's say I'll write this is a multi-line comment. This double hash is a single line comment. And in case of multi-line comment, I have to use triple quotes, right? Something like this, triple quotes. So I will say welcome to the Python course. So that basically means I'm using 2 to 3 lines and I'm writing this particular lines, right? I'm giving some kind of comments over here. Now, whenever I have comments which expands to multiple lines, I can definitely use this triple quotes. So these are the 2 ways of writing comments in Python programming language, okay? The reason why I have used this test.py, and see, again, in Python, you can actually use IPynb file, which is the Jupyter Notebook file, or .py file, which is the Python file. Now, this triple quotes usually does not work in Jupyter Notebook. It only works in test.py file, right? Other than that, single line comments definitely work for both Jupyter Notebook and the py file, basically the Python file. So I hope you got an idea of understanding about single line comments and multi-line comments. Now let's go ahead and see some of the basic syntax in Python. So first point that I really want to talk about is case sensitivity. And to give you a good comment over here, Python is case sensitive. So guys, now let me go ahead and define a variable. Let's say this is a variable. And what exactly is a variable? Again, I'll give a definition, but let's consider that a variable is something that stores some information. Okay. Let's say in this particular variable, I define my name, that is Krish. Okay. And let's say I again define a variable with capital N, and I write the same variable name, that is name. And here, let's say that I am just going to use another name. Let's say Nayan. Okay. Now, one thing that you really need to know, if I print this particular name and if I print the next name, right, over here, both this name are different variables, right? It is not the same variable, even though the variable meaning is same, right? Name, right? But I've told over here that Python is case sensitive, right? That basically means both this variable are different identifiers, okay? So if I'm going to execute this, here you can see the first name is displaying Krish and the second name is displaying Nayan, right? So that is the reason we say that, hey, Python is case sensitive, right? Both this variable, right? If you are writing, we always need to make sure that, let's say that I've defined this name over here and again I've defined name. Unless and until both this variable are having that case sensitive things, right? That basically means even though I'm writing with the small n letter over here, then I will be considering both this variable as same. Otherwise, this will be treated as a different identifier, right? So this is one of the very much important information. Now coming to the second thing, right? Second point. Let's talk about something called as indentation, right? Now what exactly is indentation? Again, this is also very much important to understand. I'll just write a comment over here. Python uses indentation to define blocks of code. Consistent use of space, commonly 4 spaces or a tab is required, okay? Now, what exactly is indentation? Okay, and if you really want to have a definition for indentation, okay, so we can also define indentation over here. So let me just go ahead and give you some kind of definition. Okay, I'll be using a markdown cell, and let me just go ahead and write over here, right? And let's go through this particular indentation definition. So let me just go ahead and execute it. Indentation in Python is used to define the structure and hierarchy of the code. Unlike many other programming languages that uses braces to delimit block of codes, right? Python uses indentation to determine the grouping of statement. Okay. Now indentation is something that is very much necessary whenever you are writing some clauses, let's say if block or for loop or something else, right? So let's say I'll give you an example over here. I will define a variable. Let's say age is equal to 32, and let me just go ahead and write one if condition. Don't worry if you don't know about if condition. How do we write it? What is the syntax and all? I will explain this as we go ahead. But I just want to give you an idea about indentation. So let's say if I write if age is equal to greater than 30. Now, when I write if age is greater than 30, and if I just use this colon, now see what will happen if I press enter. It is going to start inside this particular block. And automatically, it did not start from here. Instead, it started from here, right? So it is what it is basically doing. It is using indentation, right? It is using consistent use of space, commonly for a tab, right? And here, it is for a block of statement, right? Block of code, right? So here, if I'm going to do write, let's say that I'm going to print 30 over here. And I'm just going to print the age, right? Now, what is basically happening over here? I've just used this if block, right? And because of indentation, we know that this code is only going to get executed when this is true. Okay. If I go ahead outside and if I print age, that basically means this is not inside the if clause, right? Usually in other programming languages, we usually write this kind of braces, right? We try to define this kind of braces if you know other programming languages like C++ or C#, right? But in Python, instead of using this braces, automatically it will be aligned with indentation. Now let me just go ahead and execute it. This time 2 times is basically getting displayed 32. So one is this and the other one is over here. Understand this age is basically getting displayed, but this is outside the if block. Okay. So this is giving you an idea about indentation. Okay. I've already explained you about comments, but let me just go ahead and write about single comments. So first single comment, let's say this is a single line comment. I'll go ahead and write single line comment. Let's say that I'm going to print hello world. Okay. Now if I go ahead and execute this, you can see only hello world is getting displayed. This comment section is not getting printed, right? Again, why do we write comments? So let's say that I want to define a function. I want to give some information about this particular function. I can write all those info in this comment section. Okay. Now this is important. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and talk more about different syntaxes. One more syntax is something called as line continuation. So here I'm going to basically write line continuation. Now what exactly is line continuation? Okay. Let's say I am going to create a variable total, okay, and I'm doing some mathematical operation like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. Let's say this line is becoming bigger and bigger, right? So this line is really becoming bigger and bigger. Let's say I want to go to the next line. So what I can actually do, let's say I'll write plus, and now I will use a backslash. If I use a backslash, if I press enter, then what is going to happen? It is just going to continue in the new line. Okay. So here I'll just use this, and then let me go ahead and press backslash, and let's say I go ahead and add more elements like 4 plus 5 plus 6. Now if I go ahead and print total, you'll be able to see this will also do all the operations. So if I do the calculation, 13, 18, 22, 25, 27, 28, 28, and 28 plus 6, 34, 39, 43, right? And I'm able to get the answer. So you can use, right, in case of basically line continuation, you can basically use a backslash, right, and you can continue the statement to the next line. Okay, so this is very much important. Again, one of the most amazing feature. And again, let me just show you one more thing, one more amazing thing with respect to syntax and semantics. That is nothing but multiple statements on a single line. On a single line. What does this basically mean? Let's say I want to assign one value. Let's say x is equal to 5. I've defined. I want to define another variable. Let's say y is equal to 10. Again, if I want to define another variable, I use a colon, and I go ahead and write x is equal to x plus y. Now, what is basically happening in a single line? I've used multiple statements. I've assigned x is equal to 5, y is equal to 10, z is equal to x plus y. Now, if I go ahead and print z, you see I will be able to get the answer. See, 10 plus 5 is equal to nothing but 50, right? So guys, now you can see that this kind of operation can also be performed, right? Now let's go ahead and understand semantics, okay? Here also I'm going to put some points. So understanding semantics in Python. Okay. Now the first thing that we are going to understand is about variable assignment. So what exactly is variable assignment? Let's say that I define a variable like age is equal to 32. Okay. So here, when we run this particular command, right? When we run this line of code, then in other programming languages, you usually define the data type beforehand, like int age, float age. But here in Python, the kernel automatically understands during the runtime. So here the kernel will understand that age is an integer because here we are assigning some integer value. Similarly, let's say I go ahead and write name is equal to Krish. So here you'll be able to see that name will be a string, right? So name is a string. So I will just go ahead and execute this. If you want to understand whether I am how to probably check the type of this, so I will go ahead and write type of age. Let me just go ahead and execute it. So here you'll be able to see that, hey, I'm getting an integer value. So this basically indicates that age is an integer. And then if I go ahead and execute type of name, so here you'll be able to see that, hey, it is an str type, that is nothing but string type. Now, let me do one thing. Okay. The type that we have actually run, right? It is also called as something called as type inferencing. So here I'm going to basically write type inference. Now, Python infers the type of a variable at the runtime. And this is basically allowing dynamic typing. Okay. So what does it basically mean over here is that, okay, I will just use this. in the other code. Let's see. So if I go ahead and write over here, I'll create a variable. Variable is equal to 10. Okay. And let's say I go ahead and write print type of var, right? Sorry, this will be variable. Okay. Now what is basically going to happen over here? Once you probably execute this, you are able to get an answer saying that it is of int type, and the class will be int. Okay. But if I go ahead and use the same variable and assign some other name or some other value, let's say Krish. Now if I go ahead and print the type of variable, now what I'm actually going to get, right? So here you'll be able to see that I will be able to get str for the same variable itself, right? So here you'll be able to see that whenever we refer to the type of this specific variable, we will be also able to see something very amazing. As we keep on changing this particular variable, we'll be also able to see the inferencing type, right? So basically when you're searching for type of this, it is basically showing different things. So that basically is what? During the runtime, you can change the type of the variable to different values. Okay. Now, this was one of the most amazing thing with respect to semantics. Okay, as you know, something over here is that we also need to understand like what happens in the case of indentation error. Let's say if I go ahead and write age is equal to 32, and if I write if age is greater than 30, okay, if I go ahead and execute it, and let's say I don't use this indentation, instead I start from here and I go ahead and write print age. So here clearly you'll be getting an error saying that hey, indentation error expected an indented block after if statement on line 2. So this is how you will be able to understand it. All I have to do is that start from this, and automatically you'll be able to see the answer. Okay. This is important. Otherwise, understand without indentation, things will not work out. Even though you create classes, even though you create functions, whenever you write a block of codes within some kind of block, etc., like an if statement, for loop, or while loop, so indentation is specifically required. There you do not explicitly need to use brackets. Now, one more syntax error which usually people do. Let's say I have defined a is equal to b, and you know that b is not defined. So if I go ahead and execute this, this is also kind of syntax error because name b is not defined over here, right? So this basically becomes a unknown variable, right? So this is nothing but this is basically called as a name error. Okay, I'll be showing you as we go ahead with respect to exception handling and how do we handle all these things. We'll be talking more about it. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Let me just show you one amazing example of indentation, some code example of indentations. Okay. And again, after this session also, I will be giving you a lot of quizzes, assignments, practice sessions and all. You just need to go ahead and do it. Okay. Practice it. So here if I write if true, so true is a kind of a Boolean variable. I will be talking more about variables in our next session. Let's say I go ahead and print. This is my correct indentation, right? Indentation. So here this basically becomes my statement, and print is just to print anything in your output console. Okay. Now inside this true, let's say I have another condition if false. Now if I want to write any print statement inside this block, then I have to again do an indentation. So here we go ahead and write print this one print, right? This one print. Why it will not print? Because by default it is true. This is going to print. It is going to check this condition. It is going to come out of this particular condition, right? And finally, you'll be able to see that I'm printing one more thing over here, saying that whether this will print or not. You just think, okay, this will obviously print, right? Because this is not getting executed. We are not going inside this, and finally this print statement will execute. Now, if I want to go outside the if clause, then this will be another print statement, right? And I can basically say outside the if block. So how many times print is going to just pause the video and understand how many times the print statement is going to execute it, right? 3 times. So if I go ahead and execute it, you'll be able to see correct indentation. This will print outside the if block. Okay. So this is basically going to get printed, right? So these are some of the amazing examples of indentation. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Let me show you one more thing, right? One is with respect to correct variable assignment and type inference. But before I go ahead and explain you more about this, this was some basics about syntax and semantics. Now, as we go ahead, what are things we basically covered? Single line comments, multi line comments, definition, syntax and semantics, basic syntax rules. How do you define a variable? What is case sensitive and all? Everything I've actually covered over here. Right? This actually gives an idea about basic differences between syntax and semantics also. So I hope you like this particular video. In the next video, I am going to talk about variables, then data types, then operators. Right? So yes, this was it from my side. I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Hello guys, so we are going to continue discussion with respect to Python, and in this video we are going to discuss about variables. Okay, now what exactly is variables? And here I've also given the entire video outline. So we will first of all introduce the topic is introduction to variables. Then we'll be seeing how we can declare and assign variables. Then we'll talk about the naming convention. Then we'll understand variable type. We'll see type checking and conversion, dynamic typing, and finally we'll be seeing a lot of practical examples and common errors. Okay, so all these things will be specifically covered in this video. Okay, now first of all, as usual, let's go with the definition. So variables are fundamental elements in programming used to store data that can be referenced and manipulated in a program. In Python, variables are created when you assign a value to them, and they do not need explicit declaration to reserve memory space. The declaration happens automatically when you assign a value to a variable. Okay, so the best way to give you an example is that let's say if I define a is equal to 100, so this basically becomes the variable. And always remember, guys, whenever you start a new notebook file, always make sure to select the kernel. Okay, now if I'm going to write a is equal to 100, this basically means that I've created a variable a and I've assigned a value to 100. Okay, now obviously in my previous video I've also defined some basic variables and all, and I've assigned some values, let's say string, numerical, integers, floating point, anything, any values you can basically assign. We'll be learning more about it. So first of all, let's go ahead and understanding about declaring and assigning variables. Okay. So here you'll be able to see that let's say I'm going to define age is equal to 32. I'm going to probably define height is equal to 6 feet or 6.1. That is specifically my height, so I'm writing it down. Height is equal to 6.1. Then let's say name is equal to my name. I will go ahead and define Krish. And then here you can also see that I can also define a Boolean variable. Let's say I will go ahead and define is underscore student. Okay. I'll also talk about naming convention. What is the best naming convention of defining a variable? What are the good practices? Everything I'll be discussing about. So let's say I'm going to define a Boolean variable as true. Right. We'll learn more about the specific data types in my next video, but here I'm just giving you an example. Okay. So age is equal to 32. This is there, and I've actually written it. Right. Now let me quickly go ahead and print it. And this is how we assign a variable. Right. We're declaring a variable and we're assigning some values. Right. So now let me just go ahead and printing the variables, right? So here you can see. So now first of all, I'm going to print age, right? And this is where I will also show you how you can use different print, how you can display in your console in a different way. So first of all, let's say I want to print age. So age colon, let's say I want to assign this age colon with some value over here. So I will go ahead and find a variable age, right? Similarly, if I go ahead and show you the next print statement here, I'm going to basically write height, okay? And with respect to this particular height, I'm going to define another variable. Let's say this will basically be my height. Another next thing that I'm going to print over here is my name. And here you can probably see that I'm going to basically define my name. And let me just go ahead and write comma, and this will basically be my name, right? So if I want to define all these things, here you can see I'm displaying age is equal to 32, height is equal to 6.1, name is equal to Krish. That basically see when I'm printing, I can also call this particular variable that I've actually defined, okay? So these are some of the ways. Again, we will be discussing about more different Boolean type, more different data types as we go ahead, and that is how we declare different variables. But just a basic idea for you with respect to the variable declaration. Okay. Now coming to the next one, which is basically called as naming convention, and this is the most important one. Like how should we name a variable, right? And for this, you really need to know about the naming convention. Some of the important points that I would like to mention over here. Let's say variable's name, right? The variable name that we define, right, should be descriptive. Okay. Then the second point that I would like to mention, they must always start with a letter. Okay, so this is the second condition, or it can also start with an underscore. Okay, underscore, like underscore, this kind of underscore mark, right? And it can contain letters, numbers, and underscore in between, right? In between, but always understand they must always start with a letter or underscore, and it can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. Okay, within inside that. Okay, and one more thing, very important point which I've already mentioned: variables names are case sensitive. Okay, this also I've defined it. So these are some of the important naming convention with respect to the variables. Okay, now let's see some kind of example over here. So first of all, I will just go ahead and write some valid variable name. Okay, so valid variable names. So first valid variable name, I'm going to define it as first underscore name is equal to Krish. Okay, last underscore name is equal to Nayak. Right. So is this a good way of writing a variable? Yes. Does it start with a letter? Yes, it starts with a letter. Can it contain letter, numbers or underscores? Yes, it can contain. So here you can see I'm having letters or underscore. I can also put numbers in between, but not in the starting. Right. So this is a good way of defining a variable. Okay. So here this absolutely works fine. Let me show you some invalid variable name. Invalid variable names. Okay, so let's say that I define with a number, right? And if I go ahead and define over here, age is equal to 30. See, I'm getting an error saying that invalid decimal letter, right? So I cannot start with a letter. So this is one way. Okay. The another way is that can I define something like this? First dash name, right? Can I define like this? First dash name is equal to, let's say, Krish. Can I define like this? Will I get an error? So here you can see cannot assign to expression here. Maybe you mean double equal to or instead of equal to. So this is not being considered. This symbol is also not being used, right? So obviously this is also an invalid variable name, right? The third invalid variable name, can I use @ and define a name variable, right? So let me just go ahead and check it out. So here I'll just go ahead and write Krish. Will I get an error? It says invalid syntax. Maybe you meant so and so, right? So this is also not a valid variable name. It is an invalid variable name. Okay. And already I've spoken about case sensitive, right? Case sensitivity, right? If I define name is equal to Krish, and let's say I've defined capital name is equal to Nayak, right? Both this are different, right? It is not same, right? If I really want to compare, can I compare like this name double equal to capital name? It'll be giving false, right? Yes, the values if it is same, it will give me true. But in short, you can see that these are different identifiers, right? Later on, I can do the comparison operation and I can do it, right? So obviously, case sensitivity is also there, right? So this was related to something related to the naming conventions. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and make you understand about some of the variable types. Okay. So we will continue writing the code here itself. So let me just go ahead and write understanding variable types. Okay. Now one thing you need to understand: Python is dynamically typed. Okay, dynamically typed. What does this mean? This means the type of a variable is determined at runtime. Right? So this is very much important. Okay, and some of the important data types are like int, float, string, and boolean. Right? So let's say if I write age is equal to 25, right? So when I execute it during the runtime, it will understand, hey, fine, integer is basically getting assigned, so age is an integer variable, right? And let's say that I will go ahead and define some more variables, right? Let's say height, right? I'm going to basically go ahead and define height. Let's say I'm going to write 6.1. So this is nothing but it is integer. This is nothing but this is float. See how I'm also using the single line comments, right? Let's say if I'm going to define my name, so this will basically be Krish. So this is what? This is nothing but str, the string. And finally, if I go ahead and define is underscore student, this is basically my boolean variable, right? So boolean, sorry, I will assign it as true. So this basically becomes my boolean variable. Now if I go ahead and print the type of any of this, right? Like age. So I'm going to basically get integer. The class will be integer. During the runtime, it is able to understand it. If I go ahead and print what is the type of name, I'm actually going to get string, right? So similarly, you'll be able to find out different types, like what classes it basically belongs to. Okay. Now, one more thing, right? Here, I will discuss about one very important point. And understand one thing, guys. Here, I'll be showing some examples. But when I go ahead with more session, more different lessons as we go ahead, right? I'll be reusing all these things. Don't think that I'm just going to write for a single time over here, because these all things will again get repeated, okay? With all the different examples. Now, let me just go ahead and make you understand about type checking and conversion, okay? Now, type checking and conversion, what does this basically mean? Obviously, type checking you have known, right? So if I go ahead and write type of height, so that basically means I'm going to get the data type of this height variable, right? So in short, I'm actually getting float over here, right? Now, my question rises: can we convert one data type to the other data type? Is it possible? So let me just go and show you. Let's say if I go ahead and write age is equal to 25, right? Now you know that if I go ahead and write print type of age, so what I'm actually going to get, it is an integer, right? But now I am going to perform some type conversion. Type conversion basically means I am going to convert this integer value into a string value, let's say. So if I go ahead and write age underscore str, and if I go ahead and use this str function, right? Str function is what? String, right? This is what is the class that I'm actually getting. Now if I want to convert this age into string, I can use this str and I can use this age variable over here, right? Now if I go ahead and write print age underscore str, okay? And after that I will just go ahead and write print type of age underscore str, right? So if I go ahead and execute it, see, initially it was int. Later on, when I printed this age underscore str, here you can probably see that I'm getting 25, okay? But the type of this particular value is string, right? Here you can see string. So this value from integer is got converted into strings, okay? Now the question rises, Krish, what are different types of type conversion can I do, okay? Can I do something like this? Can I write age is equal to int string like 25? And can I convert this into int? Let's see, right? Let's see this. So the answer is yes, you are able to convert it, right? So if I go ahead and print the type of int of age, yes, definitely you are able to convert it, right? And here I'm just going to close it. Yes, the class is int. This is fine. But still, I will just go ahead and use some more examples. Let's say if I go ahead and write my name is Krish, right? Now how can I convert this into an integer? The answer is no, right? Because obviously Krish is a complete sentence, right? If I talk about 25 in string manner, this is basically a numerical value itself, right? So even though it is in a string, I can convert this into an int type. But over here, this is my string, complete string. I cannot just convert this into an integer type or float type. So here you basically get an error saying that invalid literal for int with base 10, Krish, right? So this is the value that you are able to get it over here, right? Another example, some more example. Let's define some float value, right? So let's say my my height is nothing but 6.1, okay? Or let's say 6.0 or 6. Or 5.11, okay? Something, okay? Now, if I go ahead and see the type of height, what exactly it is nothing but float, right? Can I convert this float into an integer? The answer is yes. So if I go ahead and write int and I do typecasting for this particular height variable, you'll be able to see that I'm able to get 5, right? That basically means it is just going to remove the decimal, right? Can I do the opposite again? Can I again typecast this from int to float again? Yes, I can. And it is going to give my 5.0, right? So 5.11, initially I converted this into an integer, I got 5.0. Then again, sorry, I got 5. And then again I converted that into float, so I got 5.0. So this is some example with respect to the conversion, right? Type checking conversion. So this is what I really want to show you over here, okay? Now, let me do one thing. Let me talk about one very important concept which is called as dynamic typing, okay? And this is probably the most amazing feature in Python, okay? Let's say I'm going to define a variable 10, okay? I'm going to define a variable 10, okay? Now let me just go ahead and write print var. I'm going to print this var, and I'm going to also print type of var, okay? Type of var. Perfect. So this initially is an integer, then obviously it should give 10, it should display 10, and it should say that hey, it is an integer. Now, Python allows the type of a variable to change as the program executes, right? So let me write down this particular comment. Python allows the type of a variable to change as the program executes, right? Amazing, right? Now what does this basically mean? Now I can go ahead and change the value of var, and I can write hello, okay? And let's say I'm going to print var, comma, type of var, okay? This time obviously you know what it will be output, it will be string. If you're not satisfied with this, again you can change. So as you keep on executing the code, you can keep on changing it. Let's say now this time I define it as a float variable. Now if I go ahead and write print var, okay, var, comma, type of var. So if I go ahead and execute this, here you'll be able to see that I'm able to get this, right? So see, initially it was 10, class int, hello, class str, and finally 3.14, class is float. So what is basically happening? Python is allowing this type of variable to change as the program gets executed, right? So we can basically do this, okay? Now, let's do one amazing thing. Let's just create a simple application with whatever things we are specifically around, okay? And before that, let me just talk about input, okay? Now, what exactly is input? Let's say that a user wants to give some values, right? Let's say age, and I've told that, hey, user, you give the value. What is the age, okay? What is the age? So I'm a user. I want to probably give the value over here. So if I use this, right, input function, and if I print age over here, see what will happen. So once I execute this statement, now see what will happen. So here you can see input box has got opened. So here I'm just going to give my age. Let's say the age is 23. Okay, and I'm going to press enter. So here you can see I'm printing the age. Now one very important thing to show you, right? What will be the type of this age? Okay, so that basically means whenever I'm giving any input from this particular input box by using this input function, what will be the type of it by default type? So here I'm going to go ahead and write 23, and here you can see it is a string type. So let's say I want to probably get this particular input and then also convert this into an integer float. So I can again typecast this entire thing, right? So now if I go ahead and execute this, now let me just go ahead and write 23 and press enter. So here you can see I'm getting class int, right? So this is one very important functionality for the entire input function over here, and this can be very handy and can be used in various places. Okay, so I hope you're able to execute this and you're able to understand this. So I'm just going to show you an example again. Now let us do one thing. Let us simply create one simple calculator. Okay, now this simple calculator will be amazing. So here you can just see that what this calculator is doing. I'm giving two numbers. Again, I'm using this input number 1, again number 2, then sum. I'm doing num1 plus num2, difference num1 minus num2, and the product is num1 multiplied by num2, num1 divided by num2. We'll discuss more about these operators as we go ahead. I'm just going to display all the sum difference and all. So let's go ahead and execute it. Let's say the first number is 56. I'll go ahead and press enter. Again, I've got my another cell. Let's say I'm going to write 43 or 10 something and press enter. So here you can see I'm able to see all the answers like sum, difference, product, and quotient, right? So yes, this was amazing. This was, I guess, you're able to understand many things about variables. This was it from my side. In the next video, I am going to probably discuss more about data types, and then finally we'll also be discussing about operators. What are the different data types also we need to discuss about? So yes, this was it from my side. I will see you in the next video. Thank you. So guys, we have seen different data types again. Hello guys, so we are going to continue the discussion with respect to Python. Already in our previous video we have discussed about variables. Now in this video we are going to discuss about data types. Now here is the detailed video outline. First of all, we are going to understand the introduction to data types, importance of data types in programming. Then we are going to explore some of the basic data types like integer, floating point number, strings, and booleans. And after that, after some number of videos, we are going to see advanced data types like lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. Here there is a lot of operations that we really need to understand. So I will be discussing about this topic further going ahead. And then you also have some examples with respect to type conversion and practical example. Now, first of all, we need to understand the definition of data types. What exactly data types are? So here, data types are a classification of data which tells the compiler or interpreter how the programmer intends to use the data. Right? They determine the type of operation that can be performed in the data, the values that the data can take, and the amount of memory needed to store the data. Right? And as you all know, there are different data types. If I probably say integer, floating, they definitely require different amount of memory. Right? Whenever they are storing some kind of information, like you may have int 8-bit, you may have float 16 bits. Right? So different bits information will be there for a specific data type. Right? Now let's understand what are the importance of data type in programming. So data types ensure that the data is stored in a very efficient way. They help in performing correct operations on data, and proper use of data types can prevent errors and bugs in the program. And obviously, memory management is also one of the very key terms. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and show you with respect to the code and how we can basically start with. Okay. Now the first example that we are going to go ahead, right, with respect to the data types is nothing but integers. So here I'm going to basically go ahead and write integers. So this looks like a plain text. Let me delete this because I don't want this. I will go ahead and create. So here you will be able to see integers example. Okay. And first of all, let me just go ahead and select the kernel. Okay. So the kernel is over here. Now let me go ahead and create a variable of an integer type. Right. Now if I really want to create a variable, I hope I've already told it. Let's say age is equal to 35, and if I go ahead and write type of age, this will specifically give me an integer value. As I always said, whatever topics we are seeing again, it will be getting repeated. We will just be seeing how more things we can actually learn about this. Right. Now see, I've already spoken about variables. I've already spoken about integer, but since we are learning now about data types, here also you'll be able to see that so many different things are there. Right. Then once I probably create an integer variable, you can also go ahead and create a floating point number. So let's say my floating point number over here, floating point data type. Okay, floating point data type. Here I'm going to specifically use it, and let's say over here I define like or let's say I'll probably define the width, right, or width or height or anything. So let's go ahead and define height. So let's say that if I'm writing 5.11, so this will be nothing but if I go ahead and print the height, right, and if I go ahead and print the type of the height, right. So here you'll be able to see that I'll be able to get my floating point number, right. So here you can see I'm able to get 5.11, and this is nothing but class float. This class was nothing but int. I've already spoken about typecasting also, right. So this is one of the other data type like floating data type, floating data point example. And the next example that I can probably take is for string. So string data type example. Okay, I will be showing you more examples as we go ahead. So let me say this is name is Krish. Okay. And here you can probably see, I'll go ahead and print the name. And let me just go ahead and see print type of name. Okay. So here you can actually see that, okay, fine, I'm able to see all these things, I'm able to get this information and all, right? And similarly, one more common data type that we will be specifically using is something called as Boolean data type, right? And again, guys, I'm not showing you much operations because operations will be coming as we go ahead, right? When we'll be learning about our next tutorial, right? Where we'll be learning about operators. At that time, we'll be discussing more about operations, how we can use this and probably do different types of operation and all, right? So for Boolean, what you can do is that I can directly define true or false. So if I probably use true, right? So this is basically a Boolean value, right? If I go ahead and see the type, right? So here you can see it is a bool value, right? So this is one way how you can define it. Let's say I define saying that is true, right? And I may assign it to true, right? And if I go ahead and see the type of is true, type of is underscore true, you'll be able to see, hey, fine, I'm actually able to get the Boolean value, right? This is one way. The other way is that I may go ahead and directly assign a bool variable, right? And let me just go ahead and execute this. Okay. So here you can see when we use a Boolean variable, right? Or let me do like this, right? So let's say I want to go ahead and define a Boolean variable. So I will go ahead and write bool. Okay, and if I go ahead and execute it, right? By default, it is probably coming as false, right? Now I can also give some other conditions, like let's say I have two variables, right? Let's say I have two variables. Let me define it out. A is equal to 10, okay, and B is equal to 10. Okay. Now if this is getting added. I don't know why. So B is equal to 10. Okay, so there is some built-in functions and all. I think that is why it is getting applied. If I write A double equal to B, right? So over here I'm able to get true, right? And even though I see when I'm doing this specific operation, if I go ahead and see the type, it is again Boolean, right? So Boolean is another one data type which we can specifically use, and this is just for true and false, right? That's why Boolean is specifically used, right? So we will be seeing more of this kind of examples as we go ahead, right? And I know you are excited to see a lot of operations, but let's go from basics and then we will try to build up more and more concepts, right? At the end of the day, you really need to try and work hard, right? And more you work hard, it is more like you'll become more perfect in it, right? So let's see some of the common errors that we may probably face, some of the common errors that we may get whenever we are working with different data types. Let's say my result is something called as hello, right? Now for this particular result, right? And let's say I want to go ahead and add 5. Okay, now what will happen? Let's check. Okay, and if I go ahead and execute this, here you'll be able to see that I am getting an error, right? It is saying can only concatenate string, right? Not integer. And here you can see on the left hand side, it is basically a string. And on the right hand side, when I'm performing this specific operation, I'm actually giving an integer. So if I really need to fix this error, all I have to do is that go ahead and write this. Okay, and over here, I need to do the typecasting, right? So let's say if I go ahead and write str of 5, then this issue will definitely get fixed, right? And if I go ahead and print it, print the result. Okay, so here you'll be able to see I'm able to get hello 5. Now that is the power of typecasting. See, in this particular case, when I was trying to concatenate or add 5 over here, right? And obviously it is not possible because this is a string and this is a numerical value. We cannot perform any mathematical operation, right? And here you can actually see that I'm able to get this. So these are some of the common errors, like minimal common errors that you may be facing. But we will deep dive more into different operations. And one more thing that I really want to talk about, let's say if I want to define a string, right? Let's say like hello. Okay, now you'll be able to see string dot. There's so many different methods, right? If I probably go ahead and see, there's so many different methods. If I go ahead and see over here, see so many different methods, like is digit, is alphanumeric, is case fold, center, clear, copy, count, difference update. So we will also be seeing this kind of operations once we go ahead towards the advanced data type. Because see, we need to understand all these methods, because all these methods, once you understand, you will be able to understand how you will be using different operations. But right now, since we're just discussing with the basics and we're just in the 4th tutorial, I want to go a little bit slowly with definition, with examples, show you multiple things, and make sure that you learn things in a way that it matters a lot to you, right? And again, as I said, be patient with respect to this. I know many people will be excited, saying that hey, Krish, quickly complete fast, right? But let me go a little bit slowly so that you'll be able to understand things. Okay, so yes, this was it from my side. I hope you like this particular video. Yes, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you. So guys, we are going to continue the discussion with respect to our Python series, and this video we are going to deep dive into the operators, and we'll see that how with the help of Python we will be able to perform different operations. Now here is the entire video outline. So first of all, we will go ahead and see introduction to operators, then we'll see multiple arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, flow division, modulus, and exponential. Along with this, we'll see comparison operators like equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and we'll perform various operations. Along with this, we'll also be seeing logical operators like and or not, and then we will be like all these things will be shown along with the practical examples, right? So let me just go ahead. First of all, if you don't know about operators, guys, any kind of arithmetic operation or logical operation can be probably performed with this kind of operators. Okay, and obviously when we write any Python code, we definitely require a lot of operations probably to develop our projects and all, right? So quickly, let me just go ahead and create my code cell, and here I'll show you one shortcut. You just press escape and press A. Automatically, cells will get appended, right? So first of all, we are going to go ahead with arithmetic operations, right? And here with respect to the arithmetic operations, let me just go ahead and create some variables like a is equal to 10. Oops. So I will go ahead and write. Okay, this is getting added. We'll discuss about all these things. No worries. So a is equal to 10. Okay, and let's say I'm going to write b is equal to 15. If I want to perform any kind of operations over here, right? Let's say I want to perform a basic arithmetic operation. I will go ahead and write result is equal to a plus b. So this is the addition operation that we specifically do, and here I can go ahead and print my result, right? A simple addition operation. So here my answer is 15, right? Similarly, what I can actually do is that again. So this will basically be my add result. Okay, similarly, we can go ahead and create our subtraction result, which will be nothing but a minus b. Then along with this, we can go ahead and do our multiplication result, right, which will be nothing but a multiplied by b. This is what we specifically get with respect to the multiplication operation. Along with multiple operation, we also have a division operation. So let me just go ahead and write my division underscore result is equal to a divided by b. Okay, and then we will also be having flow division. We'll discuss what is the difference between flow division also. So here you can see floor underscore div underscore results. Okay, and here you can see I have to just use a double slash, like it's not divided, it's double divided by b. Okay, so we'll discuss about this, why exactly we use this flow division. Okay, so this is my addition operation. This is my subtraction operation, subtraction operation, and the next one is my multiplication operation, and this is my division operation, and this is my flow division. We'll understand everything over here, don't worry. Normal operation, I think you know it, right? It's basic maths. Then you also have which is called as modulus operation. Okay, so here I'm going to basically go ahead and write modulus underscore result is equal to a modulus b. So we'll discuss about this. So this is exactly my modulus results, or here I can write a modulus operation. Okay, and then finally you'll also be able to see that I will also use an exponential operation, and here I can go ahead and write exponential underscore result, which will be nothing but a to the power. To the power, we basically say like we use this 2 star to the power of b. Okay, so this is basically my exponential operation. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and print this result. So here we have this. Then again, I will go ahead and write print. Then again, I will go ahead and write print. We'll copy this print multiple times because I need to display this results together. Okay, so now let me just go ahead and write the subtract result. Let me go ahead and oops, just a second, multiple results. So I will go ahead and paste it over here. And then we have our div result. We'll paste it over here. Then we have our modulus result. We'll paste it over here. Then we have our exponential results. We'll paste it over here. Okay. One flow division result is pending. So let me just go ahead and write it over here. Print, and I'll paste it over here. So here you can see addition is 15, subtraction is 5, multiplication is 50, division is 2.0, and flow division result is nothing but 2. Right. We will discuss about both of them by 2.1 and 2. Then you have modulus operation. Modulus basically means that it will try to just give you the remainder. Right. So here you can see 10 divided by 5 is like the remainder is 0. So that is the reason you will be able to see zeros over here. And when we do a to the power of b, right, 10 to the power of 5, we are actually going to get this value. Right. Now let's discuss more about this 2. Okay. This 2 operation. Let's say that I want to divide a number like 10 divided by 5. So I will be able to get 2. If I go ahead and write, let's say I will go ahead and write 21 divided by 5, and obviously you know the result, it is 4.2, right? But if I use floor division, then what will happen is that I will get the answer as 4. So whatever will be the floor value, right, the lowest value, it will just remove the decimal and it will give you the output. Okay, so this is a basic example. Now you can perform various operations, and we will see. I'll try to create a calculator for you, and over here only I'll show you that particular project also, right, as we go ahead. Perfect. Now the next step we are going to probably discuss about is comparison operators. Okay, so let me just go ahead and write it down, and basically write it down as comparison operators. So guys, now let's go ahead and see some of the comparison operators. Now first of all, we will go ahead with double equal to. Okay, so we will be using double equal to. Now let's say that I'll go ahead and create a result, or let me just go ahead and define a variable called as a is equal to 10. Okay, and b is equal to 10. Now, if I want to probably compare this operators, right, what I can actually do, I can go ahead and write my result, and let me just go ahead and simply use a tuple. I will talk about these brackets, and just let me write it like a double equal to b. If I don't even want to write like this, just go ahead and write a double equal to b. Right? If I execute it, I'll be able to get true over here. So this is nothing but it is a more of a equal to comparison, where it will be comparing between two identifiers and what value it has. Right? It basically compares the value that is present within this particular data type. Okay. Then this is equal to operator. So here, let me go ahead and write equal to operator, and you can apply it in all various different data types. Let's say I have str1, my string 1. I have like Krish. Okay, and str2 I have Krish, right? Same string, right? So capital Krish and Krish. Now if I go ahead and write str1 double equal to str2, then here you'll be able to see I'm getting true, right? Let's say if I use a small k, okay, then you can see that I'm getting a false. So this comparison is also with respect to case sensitive, right? So whatever data is present with respect to this, it is just going to compare it. Okay, so this is some type of operations. The next comparison operation that we are going to discuss is nothing but not equal to. Okay, so not equal to, which is denoted by this exclamation not equal to. Now if I go ahead and just write str1 is not equal to str2, so obviously based on this comparison you can see that this is exactly false because both of the strings are true, right? So that is the reason it is coming as false. Let's say if I go ahead and define again my string 1 and string 2, let's say I go ahead and define it as string 3, and then this will basically be my string 4. And now let me make this as a small character, okay? And let me go ahead and write S3. str3 is not equal to str4. Now it should probably give me a true value. Why? Because both of them are not equal, right? So this was another operation that is not equal to, okay? Now coming to the next one, which is basically called as greater than. So this will basically be greater than. So this is again a comparison operation, which we can actually use. Let's say, and this greater than operation, let's say I have a value like 45, a is equal to 45, or let me just go ahead and number 1, 45, number 2 is 55. Now if I go ahead and write number 1 is greater than number 2, right? So the answer may be false because number 1 is obviously small over here. So here you can probably see that I'm actually getting false, right? So this is one example of greater than operation, and similarly if greater than is there, then obviously less than should also be there. So less than operation, which is denoted by this. Greater than operation is basically denoted by this. Okay. Now in this case, if I want to execute less than, so again, if I go ahead and execute num1 is less than num2, so here you'll be able to see that I'm able to get true, right? You can also print this result. At the end of the day, I'm actually going to get a Boolean value itself because this is a comparison operation. And with respect to all the comparison operation, we are either going to get true or false. Okay. Now this is fine. Like less than is there, greater than is there. Now obviously you also have something called as greater than or equal to, right? So let me just go ahead and write greater than or equal to, right? So here let me just go ahead and show you one more example. Let's say that I have a number one. Number one is equal to 45, and number two is equal to 45. Okay. Now if I go ahead and put this condition, number one is greater than or equal to number two. So I'm basically going to get the answer right over here as true because obviously this is equal. At least one of the condition is basically getting true, right? So if I go ahead and print it, you'll be able to see this, right? Now here you can actually see that yes, everything is working fine and I'm able to get true. Now similarly, there is one more comparison operation, which is nothing but less than or equal to. Now in this particular case, if I apply the condition less than or equal to 2, again I'm going to get true because 45 is equal to 45. So one of the conditions is getting matched less than or equal to, right? If I go ahead and probably let's say in number one I go ahead and write 44, then also it is going to be true because this condition is getting matched because number one is less than number two, right? So over here this is another one operation, right? So just you got an idea about various comparison operation that we have actually done. Now let me do one more thing. Let me just go ahead and talk about logical operators. Okay, so here I'm going to basically create a field and let's say I'm going to write logical operators, right? So one is that we have discussed about comparison operators. So let me make a cell over here so that for your reference purpose also it becomes easy, right? So for cell comparison operators, okay, done, perfect. So comparison operators, and here you have all the things, right? And now we are going to discuss about logical operators. Now logical operators basically means the three one is and, one is not, okay, and one is or. Right, so most common operation in logical operator is something like this. Now let me talk about this, right? In the case of and, and if you know about digital logic gates, I hope in college at least some idea you have about it. In case of and, when both A and B, right, are true, then only you'll be able to get the output as true. Otherwise, it will be completely false. What do I mean by that? Let's say I have two Boolean variable. One is x. Let's say it is true, right? Now in this particular case, if my y is also true, right? Now if I go ahead and write, okay, let's say that I go ahead and create my result, and let me go ahead and write it as x and see and operation we have to use y, right? Now if I go ahead and print my result, you'll be able to see that I'm able to get true, right? Because both of them are true, right? But in this particular case, if I just copy this and paste it over here, in this case, now let me say that if y is false, then if I go ahead and execute it, it's going to come false, right? Even though this may be true and this may be false, then also I'm able to get false. So in case of AND operation, right, always you need to make sure that whenever both the variable will be Boolean true, then only your output will be true, right? In the case of AND operation. Now let's go ahead and understand about OR operation. Now in the case of OR operation, only in the case when x and y are false, then only we are going to get the output as false. Remaining all the time, if I keep it as true or false or true, sorry, this is AND, right? Okay, or. Now, anytime you'll be able to see whenever I keep x, either one of them is true or both of them is true, I'm always going to get the output as true. Otherwise, if both of them are false, I'm always going to get the output as false. So this is the most important thing with respect to the OR operation, right? And finally, you'll be able to see that I also have another operation which is called as NOT. And NOT operation is nothing but it is the reverse. It is just a reverse of a Boolean variable, right? What do I mean by that? Let's say I have x is equal to true, right? And if I go ahead and write not of x, then what I'm able to get, see, inverse of this x, right? So here I'm able to get false, right? So not is nothing but it is an inverse of any Boolean variable. So if this Boolean variable is false, then if I go ahead and write not of x, then I'm actually able to see that I'll be getting true, right? So here we have discussed various comparison logical operators. Again, it'll be important for various arithmetic operations as such. One good code example, arithmetic or simple calculator we'll be designing, and you can probably check out this code, okay? So here you can see I'm giving float, enter first number, second number, and you're performing addition, subtraction, multiplication, float division, modulus, exponential, and here you're displaying it. So let's go ahead and execute this. So if I go ahead and write 12 and execute it, 4, execute it. So here is what is my output, right? So I hope you were able to understand regarding operators. This was it from my side. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you. Take care. Hello guys, so we are going to continue discussion with respect to Python, and in our previous video we have already completed operators, and if you remember we have completed one complete section with respect to Python basics. We understood about variables, data types and operators, right? Now we are going to go towards an amazing new topic in Python which is called as control flow. And in control flow we are going to discuss about conditional statement and loops. In this video we are going to focus more on conditional statement. So here is the entire video outline, what all things we are going to discuss. So first of all we are going to see introduction to conditional statements, then we'll go and understand what is if statement, how to write if statement with the help of Python, then you have else statement, then you have else if statement, then you have nested conditional statements. Along with this we will be implementing a lot of practical examples. I will be showing you multiple examples or real world use case examples, and then we'll try to solve that. Apart from that, the final thing is that we'll also see what are the common errors and what is the best practices that we should follow whenever we are using conditional statement with respect to if, elif, and else. Now let's go ahead and let's start our coding. First of all, let's understand what is if statement, right? And this is really important for you all to understand. And as I've always said, before you start any Jupyter notebook, make sure you select the kernel with respect to the virtual environment that you have created. Now, if statement evaluates a condition and executes the block of code within it if the condition is true. Okay, what does this basically mean? Let's say that I am writing age is equal to 20, right? And now if I am writing an if statement, after this if, we will be putting any conditions over here. Let's say if I write if age is greater than or equal to 20. So this is one of the condition, right? So this if statement is going to evaluate this particular condition. And if it is true, right, it is going to go inside this particular block, right? And obviously you know about indentation. Directly you'll be seeing that we'll be able to write the code inside the block. So here I will go ahead and write print. Let's say that I will go ahead and write age 18, and if the age is greater than or equal to 18, okay, and here I will go ahead and write 20, okay, then I will say that hey, you are allowed to vote in the elections, right? something like this, vote in the elections. So here you can probably see the output, you are allowed to vote in the elections. What does this basically mean? When I started my if statement, first of all, the condition that I have written, this will get evaluated. And obviously here you can see the age is greater than or equal to 18 because I have assigned the age variable is equal to 20, right? Now since this is greater than or equal to 18, you'll be able to see that this entire condition will become true. This entire condition will become true. So it will go ahead and execute this particular statement, right? And this is a very simple way of understanding if statement. Let me repeat again. If statement evaluates a condition. So this is my condition and it executes the block of code within it if the condition is true. So right now this condition is true. So that is why it is basically getting executed. How do I say this condition is true or not? If I just go and execute in my new cell and if I see age is greater than or equal to 18, this is true. So if true, I am going to go inside this particular block. So this was about if statement. Don't worry, we'll be seeing a lot of examples. Now let me go ahead and show you the another conditional statement which we basically say is else, right? Now what exactly is else? Okay. To define else, I would like to probably talk about this. Okay. And let me just go ahead and write a comment over here again. The else statement executes a block of code if the condition in the if statement is false. What does this mean? That if this statement is false, it is not going to go inside this block, right? So is there a way that I can probably move it into another block, right? So for that, we will be specifically using else statement. So let us go ahead and see one more example. So guys, now let's go ahead and see this else statement and how does it work, okay? Let me just go ahead and write age is equal to 16, okay? And now you know the condition if you really want to vote, right? So what is the condition that I have to write? If age is greater than or equal to 18, right? Then I can go ahead and print something like you are eligible for voting, okay? So this is my statement that I've written, right? Now let's go ahead and execute this. Right now, when I'm executing this, you can see that nothing is getting printed. The reason is very simple because this statement has become false, right? And so you're actually coming outside the block, nothing is getting printed. But let's say I want to handle for this age in a separate way within this if clause, right? So what I can do, I can again go ahead and write else clause, right? Now inside this else clause, I will probably say print you are a minor. Okay, so this will be my else block. Now what will happen if I execute this? You'll be seeing that if this is false, what it is going to do by default, it is going to jump into this particular block, right? Because this is what my else condition is, right? The default condition at the end, right? If nothing is getting satisfied, just go and jump to the last else block and display this. So once I'm executing this, you'll be able to see that here you're getting an answer, you are a minor. So this became false. After this basically became false, it is going to the else block. Again, let me repeat. The else statement executes a block of code if the condition in the if statement is false. Okay, so here you get probably see this. Okay, now let me just go ahead with the next conditional statement, which is called as elif statement. Okay, now with respect to the elif statement, if I really want to give a smaller definition for this, what exactly is an elif statement? Now this elif statement allows you to check multiple conditions. It stands for else if. Okay, that is the reason we say elif. Elif statement is there, but if we go ahead and see the full form, it is nothing but else if. Okay, and it allows you to check for multiple conditions. Okay, now let me just go ahead and probably put some points over here. Let's say I'll show you some example. If I go ahead and write age is equal to 20. Okay, now let me go ahead and write if age is less than 13. Okay, I'm putting some kind of condition over here. Any condition you can put. You can go ahead and put an and condition or condition, whatever condition you want. So any conditional statements you can write it over here. And obviously you've seen this kind of statements, right? Where I'm actually putting some kind of conditions over here, right? Anything you can actually put over there. Now if I go ahead and write print, if age is less than 13, I'll say, hey, you are a child. Okay, you are a child. Now I want to check for other condition also. Let me go ahead and write elif. Now elif age is less than 18. Okay, if the age is less than 18, then I will go ahead and say print, you are a teenager. Okay, you are a teenager, right? And then I will go ahead and write else. Finally, the else statement by default, this will get, if none of this condition is basically becoming true, this will get executed. Then if I go ahead and write over here, print, I'll say, hey, you are an adult. Okay, and now if I go ahead and execute it, what will happen? Which part will get basically executed? Whether this or this or this, right? So here you can probably see, if I go ahead and execute, you'll be able to see, hey, you are an adult, right? Now if I go ahead and write 17 as my age, right? So first condition over here you can see age is less than 13, which is obviously false. It will go to the next one. Else if it is not going to check multiple conditions. Else if age is equal to 18, now here it is going to be true, and this is what it is going to get displayed, right? So here you can see you are a teenager, right? So this actually gives you an idea how this elif basically works, right? And elif allows you to check multiple conditions, right? Now there may be a scenario where I really want to use nested conditional statement, and this is what we are going to discuss about. Okay, nested conditional statements, right? Now in nested conditional statement, what all things you can basically do? Okay, we can use a combination of if, or else inside the block. Like let's say inside this if clause, I can write another if clause, right? So here let me just go ahead and write this particular comment for you. You can place one or more if, elif, or else statement inside another if, elif, or else statement to create a nested conditional statement. Okay, now let's say I will just give you some of the examples over here to make you understand like let's say I will give you a number. You need to tell me whether it is even, odd, or negative. Okay, something like this. These are my three conditions. Okay, let's say I have given my number. So let me go ahead and write input. Okay, so first of all, I will define my number. I will use int, and then here I'm going to use input, and here I'm going to probably say enter the number. Okay, I will go ahead and enter the number. Now, my first condition will be that I'll go ahead and check for positive and negative number. So if I go ahead and write if number is greater than or equal to 0, sorry, if it is greater than 0, then I can probably, okay, let me just go ahead and write. Then I can probably go ahead and print the number is positive, right? So here you'll be able to see that I am printing this. Okay. Now the next condition is that I need to check whether this number is even or odd, right? Now in order to probably check, I may write any numerical conditions over here. If number, I'll try to use any operators, right? If number modulus of 2 basically means if the remainder is equal to 0, that basically indicates that obviously this is an even number. So here I'm going to print the number is even, right? So here you can see the number is even. Else I'm going to probably print the number is odd. Okay. So here you can see what I have actually done. If this gets solved, that basically means we are going to say that hey, the number is even. But if this is not true, then it will go to the else block saying that the number is odd. So what is basically happening? Inside an if condition, I've written another if condition along with the else block. So this is what nested conditional statement means, right? Now there is also one more thing. For this if block also, for the outer if block also, I can again write an else condition saying that else, and this time I will go ahead and print the number is negative. Okay. Or a better way will be that if I'm entering the number, I will just go ahead and write greater than 0. Okay. And here in the else condition, I will go ahead and write is 0 or negative. Okay. Now see, this is what nested conditional statement means. You can place one or if else or elif, this kind of statements within another if clause or elif clause. Okay. Similarly, Well, you can write another elif clause over here wherever you specifically want. But the order will be the same thing, right? You need to probably make sure that you manage all the indentation part. If you're not managing the indentation part, then you may get an error. Okay. So here you go over here, and now if I go ahead and execute this, you'll be able to see it is asking for me for a number. If I go ahead and write 12, I'll go ahead and press enter. So here you can see the number is positive and number is also even. Okay. Now again, let me just go ahead and execute. This time if I give 11, you'll be able to see number is positive, but the number is odd. The else part has got executed over here. Now again, if I go ahead and execute it, and if I go ahead and write -1, so here you can see the number is 0 or negative, which is basically going to the else block, right? Why this is going to the else block? Because I've given the number as -1. Now this is going to be false, and it is just going to jump to the else block, right? So I hope you are able to understand this in an amazing way. You got an idea with respect to if, else, and also you got an idea with respect to the nested conditional statement. Now let us see some very important use cases, and I'll just say that some practical examples that we are going to probably discuss. Okay. See, the errors can only happen when you are not doing the proper indentation over here, right? If the indentation is basically done in a proper way, then you should be able to write this if else block in a very efficient way. Okay. Now, first practical example that I'm actually going to give you. Okay. You need to determine if a year is a leap year. What does leap year basically mean? Any year that is divided by 4. If the remainder is 0, that basically means it is a leap year. Using nested conditional statement. Now you can pause the video and you can start writing this, right? And you can see what it will probably give you and what it will not give you. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and write this. So first of all, I will go ahead and write year, and I will give this as an input. Okay. And let me just go ahead and say enter the year. Okay. Enter the year. Okay. Now next thing, if I will start my condition, if year modulus 4, right, is double equal to 0, right? So here, see, understand this particular condition also. If year modulo 4 is equal to 0, right, then what I will do, see here also, I can also write like this. If number percentile modulus 2 is double equal to 0, I have used one additional bracket, so let me just remove this if you are getting confused with this, okay? If it's double equal to 0, then I will also go ahead and put one more condition. If year modulo 100 is double equal to 0, right? So here I have used two nested if else clause, right? And if year modulus 400 double equal to 0, okay? So see how many nested if else we have actually done, okay? Now if this condition is basically, if this all three conditions is basically true, which is specifically for the leap year, what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go ahead and write print this year, whatever I've actually given, right? Whatever year I've actually given is a leap year, okay? Is a leap year. So here is how I'm actually using the print statement, okay? I will take one more session with respect to the print formatting, okay? There are different ways of print formatting. So print year is a leap year, okay? Then I will go ahead and write in the else block. What if this is not true? What if these two statements are true, but this is not true, right? Then I will go ahead and print this year is not a leap year, right? The same year is not a leap year, okay? So here you can probably see this, okay? Then let's say, fine, for this if it is false, I'm handling it over here. But what about this if? So for this, we will write another else statement, okay? And here I will also give one more condition saying that, hey, print year. And if this is also true, if year 100 modulus 100 is equal to 0, I will be saying that, hey, year is a leap year, okay? Is a leap year. I'm just trying to write it in a complex if else condition. And finally, if this condition is also true in the else block, I will go ahead and basically go ahead and write print year is not a leap year, okay? Done. So here you can basically see that if this condition is true, then also we know that it is a leap year. So for that further conditions we are applying this one, then again further we are applying this one. But if this is also not true, then we also need to handle in the else block, right? Now let me just go ahead and write it out. So here I'm just going to execute it, and let's say I go ahead and write 2022. Now obviously this will be not a leap year, but let's execute this. And here you can see 2022 is not a leap year, right? If I go ahead and execute it again, so let's go ahead and see 2024. If I go ahead and execute over here, 2024 is a leap year, right? No, so this is one of the good amazing practical example. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give you more assignments as we go ahead, right? We need to also understand what are the common errors and mistakes that we usually do if I'm not written colon, if the indentation part is not done properly, then obviously this will be a problem, right? Now, let me give you some of the assignments which you should definitely do, okay? One is, please try to create a simple calculator, and inside the simple calculator program, you need to take an input from the user, perform different operations, what kind of operations you need to do. If it is plus, then by using if else condition, you will need to do it. So here I will just be, please make sure that first of all, before I show you the solution, you try to write the code from your side, okay? So here you can see, I will just go ahead and update this, just a second. Okay. So here you can probably see I've used float input into the first number, second number operation is either you can upload plus, minus, star, or division. You can also use modulus if you want, and then I've written all this condition. If the operation is equal to plus, then result number plus 1, this. Else, you'll be also able to see nested else if is also there. Else if number is not equal to 0, right? Just go ahead and see this. Whatever things we have discussed till now, I think you should be able to understand it. Okay. So let me just go ahead and execute it. Let's say 12, I'll go ahead and press 24, I'll go ahead and press enter, and let's say I want to do plus operation. So here you can see 36.2. Okay. So try to do this. One more example that I really want to give it to you. Okay. Determine the ticket price based on the age. Okay, so this will be another one example. So I have multiple examples, but definitely do try it from your side. So I'm just putting so that you'll be able to practice it. Okay. So here you can see enter your age. Are you a student? Yes or no? So if you are probably saying yes, then you'll be saying yes over here. So here are some of the conditions. If age is less than 5, price is free. Else if age is less than 12, price is $10. If age is less than 17, and if it is a student, then price is $12. Else if $15, then just try to go through this. Okay, and then you'll be able to understand it. So I hope you were able to understand this video. This was it from my side. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you. Hello guys, we are going to continue discussion with respect to Python, and in this video, we are going to talk about loops. Already in our previous video, we have seen a lot of examples with respect to conditional statements like if, elif, else, and we have seen multiple examples out there, right? Now in loops, we will be discussing about what are the different types of loop we usually use in Python programming language, like for loop, while loop, loop control statements like break, continue, and pass. Then we'll be discussing